Welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays. This week I reread a book for the very first time in my life, Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. It's a very popular one. It's got 12 million copies in circulation worldwide, but rereading it came about for me in an unusual way. 4 months ago, seems like about 5 years, when the effects of COVID-19 were just starting to have an impact on my life, I remember thinking a lot about people in times of war. I'm not sure if you did the same thing, but if I was this unsettled by some restrictive rules, by a few scarcities, by some concerns about health, how in the world did people in war zones cope? After days of this kind of thinking, I realized I was almost subconsciously channeling Viktor's Man's Search for Meaning autobiography. In it, he shares his experiences and strategies for surviving being a prisoner in 4 Nazi concentration camps. And his insights are aided by the fact that he's a psychiatrist. I'd read the book over 20 years ago and decided that this week I should reread it and see what I could learn the second time around. One of Viktor's biggest points that struck me, that if you know the meaningful why for your existence, you're able to bear almost any how. That is, if you can identify why you need to live, and he would say what life still needs from you, you'll have the ability to withstand hardships that you might have to live with as you go through your daily life. Now, fortunately, he advises on how to find such meaningful whys. He has 3 ways. They certainly rang true for me. I wanted to share some examples with you from my life. One source for meaning is through doing significant work. With my friend's permission, I wanted to share an email that I got after last week's Lemons versus Lemonade vlog that tells his story. He writes, it would seem easy to focus on the lemons since life has changed significantly in many respects, e.g. can't visit my parents, feel helpless in terms of many or most of their needs, can't hug my nieces or my sister. However, that would be depressing and potentially lead to a downward spiral, culminating in anxiety and depression. Better for the soul and the mind to concentrate on the lemonade. We are not sick. I can talk with my parents every day. We do not have financial stresses, and we have air conditioning. Later on, he writes, and finally, my church needs me to take care of our finances and to administer the government relief programs that we qualify for. I know that my work there is greatly appreciated and it's rewarding for me. So in this note to me, he illustrates Viktor's point. His meaningful why is the fulfilling work that he does for his church. It helps him cope with the restrictions and frustrations elsewhere in his life. The second source is finding a meaningful why in love by caring for another person. On a personal note, I remember when I was diagnosed with cancer and how I needed to speak with people who had survived since everyone I had known with breast cancer had passed away. Almost to a woman, I found that they spoke of someone they loved who needed their care and for whom they simply had to survive. This was sometimes a child, for instance, who didn't have a second competent parent. This too fits with Viktor's theory, finding a meaningful why in love. The third source of a meaningful why is to have courage in difficult times. Viktor speaks of people who, when confronted with their fate, have the chance of achieving something through their own suffering. Remaining brave, dignified, and unselfish can bring a sense of meaning. So, thanks again to Viktor Frankl for bringing us a timeless perspective on living life with meaning. Now, I'm going to have to nail my meaningful why. I'd say it's about time, at least before another 20 years have passed.